Assalamu alaikum. It's Huma Islam, your O levels Islamia teacher. Today the topic is the conquest of Makkah. 8 AH occurred in 8 AH 630 CE, and it happened after the breach of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Breach in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This was the main cause for the conquest of Makkah. The treaty was signed in 628 CE between Muslims and the Quraysh. So 630, if 630, Fatah Makkah is happening in 630, so 2 years of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah in action. 10-year peace pact allowing tribes to ally with either side. A breach occurred in the treaty when Quraysh allies, the Banu Bakr, attacked Muslim allies, the Banu Khuza'a, set the stage for the conquest of Makkah. The Banu Bakr were the Qurayshi allies. What did they do? They attacked the Banu Khuza'a, which was the Prophet's allies. Now, how do I make my students remember which ally was which? If you see Banu Khuza'a, and the Prophet ﷺ in Urdu is also known as Khazur sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So how I make my students in class memorize that, okay, Khuza'a was allies with the Khazur, right? So you can remember like that also. And Banu Bakr, the old name of Makkah mentioned in the Quran is Bakka, right? So that's how of course my students don't know it, but that's how I also remember it, that Banu Bakka were the Qurayshi allies from Bakka, and Banu Khuza'a from Khazur, they are Hazur Sallallahu allies. Muslim allies, okay, what happened was they also attacked Banu Khuza'a in the Kaaba. In the Kaaba, we all know Kaaba is a sanctuary. It was the haram. You're not allowed to kill anything, not even an insect in the haram. By this attack, this attack had violated the terms of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and Banu Khuza'a came to the Prophet ﷺ to seek protection. Why did they go? In fact, the Banu Khuza'a went to the sanctuary, went to the Kaaba, and they clung to the cloth of the Kaaba, thinking that nobody's going to kill us here. But even at that time, they were killed. And it is said that the Qurayshi did not stop the Banu Bakr. They incited them to kill, go ahead. Because remember, they're warlords. It's very difficult for them to stay out of a war. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam demanded reparations or nullification of the treaty. Abu Sufyan comes to Medina. Quraysh sent him to revive the treaty because, he said that either you're going to have to compensate for what you've just done or the treaty is going to be broken. The Quraysh sent Abu Sufyan. Why did they send Abu Sufyan? Naturally because he was the leader, but also because his daughter was now also married to the Prophet ﷺ. When she came back, I think from Abyssinia, was it, or Makkah, then because she was widowed, then she was married off to the Prophet because she was the chief's daughter. The Quraysh sent him to revive the treaty as they realized their mistake and the consequences they would have to face. Options given to the Qurayshi was pay blood money to the Banu Khuza'a, dissolve alliance with Banu Bakr. Naturally, qisas would be to pay Banu Khuza'a blood money. Then the second option that was given was dissolve alliance with Banu Bakr. The Qurayshi alliance, they were allies with the Banu Bakr, either break that alliance, or the third option was dissolve the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Abu Sufyan arrived in Medina and went straight to the house of his daughter, Habiba, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. He wanted to sit on the mattress used by the Prophet, but his daughter folded it up. Abu Sufyan said to his daughter, "Did you not consider the bedding fit for me or your father, fit for it?" She replied, "This bedding is specially meant for the Prophet ﷺ, and as you are an unbeliever, I didn't wish that a person who is an unbeliever and unclean should sit on the bedding of the Prophet." He went to his daughter first, and then it is said that he went to Hazrat Abu Bakr, Umar and Usman and Ali to try and, ask them to convince Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ to, compensate. The aim, okay, when, the Makkans, they insisted that, okay, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah will be nullified, right? And nullifying the Treaty of Hudaybiyah means that there's no peace treaty left. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he aimed to now go and conquer Makkah, because what? It was a break in the treaty. They didn't keep the sanctity of the treaty. So now it was time, it was a decisive time for the Prophet to, go to Makkah. The aim was to keep the military plans secret. No companion knew where they were going and why they were going. The Prophet ﷺ told all of the companions to prepare for war. And if asked, where are we going, he wouldn't mention the place and why, where we're going, who they're going to fight against. He wouldn't mention anything. No companion knew where they were going, only told to stay ready to go. There was so much fear everywhere that Hatib bin Abi Balta, if you remember, I told you in the letters to the kings, I told you to remember a name, and then I said, okay, I think I've got the wrong name. It was Hatim bin Abi Balta, whose name was supposed to be remembered. He was a trusted follower of the Prophet. But because he had family members in Makkah, he sent a message with a female woman who was traveling to Makkah to go and inform my family that I think the Muslims are coming to attack Makkah. Because, and why did he do it? Just so that his family could protect themselves. So Hatim bin Abi Balta, a trusted follower of Muhammad, secretly sent a female messenger to Makkah with a letter that contained information of the intended attack by the Muslims. Muhammad ﷺ mobilized an army of 10,000. Okay, this woman was intercepted. Hazrat Ali went behind her and she was brought back. The Prophet asked her that who sent you, and she said, okay, I don't even know what's written in it. It's Hatib who sent me. And when Hatib was called, the Prophet asked her, why did you do such a thing? And he said, I had no other reason except just to save my family. So the Prophet forgave him. He didn't curse him. He didn't give him punishment. He said, okay, it's a human weakness that one does want to protect their own families. Muhammad ﷺ mobilized an army of 10,000 soldiers, implemented a news blackout to maintain the element of surprise. He didn't, even in the army when they're proceeding, he still didn't tell his army that where they are going. Sent small units to divert attention from their true objective. What he did, he sent small sariyas, small army batches in different directions so that people would be confused as to where they are actually going. Then he formed 4 battalions, commanded one by himself. One battalion was commanded by Khalid bin Walid, another one by Abu Ubaidah and Saad bin Ubaidah. They left Medina on the 10th of Ramadan. He ordered not to fight. When, dispatching his battalions, he ordered each and every battalion not to fight, only unless they are attacked. The Banu Bakr attacked Khalid bin Walid's battalion, and 28, some views are that 28 were killed and some views are that 13 were killed. This was the only bloodshed that literally took place at the conquest of Makkah. The remaining battalions were not attacked at all. How might this strategy have affected the outcome of the conquest? Imagine if they went in attacking. So this strategy also did affect the outcome of the conquest. Now, as they progressed towards Makkah, Al-Abbas bin Muttalib, in other words, the Chacha of the Prophet ﷺ, and his family joined Muhammad ﷺ and his army at a place called Al-Juhfa. Muhammad ﷺ instructed his men to light fires on all sides for cooking purposes. Now, the Prophet told each and every companion to light fires outside their camps, right? Why? Because this was a valley of Juhfa, and at night, if each and everyone is lighting fire, how can I explain this to you? Have you seen when jalsas, a PTI jalsa or a Noon League jalsa goes through to the night, and then people are asked to turn on their mobile lights so we can see how many people are here, and that it brings that effect that you can see how far people are, how many attendants are there. So it was the same effect basically, that light fires so that anybody who comes to see the Muslim army, it will look like a massive, huge army, and plus they were a huge number at that time. So Quraysh came to assess the situation. The effect of many fires lit made it look like as a huge number. Abu Sufyan accepts Islam at this point. Abu Sufyan, a former enemy, met with Muhammad at Juhfa. He convinced of the Muslims' strength, he accepted Islam. And plus, Hazrat Abbas also said that, why don't you just accept Islam? Why are you so stubborn? Look, I've accepted Islam, you also too. And then the Prophet once Abu Sufyan accepted Islam, he said, okay, go and tell them whoever takes refuge in Abu Sufyan's house is safe. Whoever takes refuge in the Kaaba is safe, and whoever stays in his own house is also safe. Why do you think Prophet Muhammad offered this privilege to Abu Sufyan? I mean, he's just accepted Islam. Why did he get this privilege? Now, when a person has been your staunch enemy for such a long time, remember that person to all of a sudden be converted with no resentment is near to impossible. To suppress any negative action from Abu Sufyan, giving him this privilege would stop any negative activity that could have come from his side. Because imagine saying that whoever stays in Abu Sufyan's house is safe. So all of a sudden, if Abu Sufyan was planning to attack, going back, and just accepted Islam for compromise, then anything like that would have been, it has been countered by offering him this privilege. Divine forgiveness. It is mentioned in the Quran. He said, no blame will there be upon you today. Allah will forgive you, and He is the most merciful of the merciful. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam applied this verse when forgiving his former enemies. Entry into Makkah. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam final preparation for the military breakthrough into Makkah. He appointed Khalid bin Walid as the leader of the right flank of the army entering into Makkah through its lower avenues. Zubair ibn Awam was appointed to lead the left flank of the army and storm Makkah from the upper side. Abu Ubaidah was given command of the infantry and was ordered to penetrate the city through the side valley. The soldiers were given clear and decisive orders not to kill unless in self-defense. The Muslim battalions executed their assigned missions with precision and success. As I told you before, Khalid ibn al-Walid, KBW, effectively infiltrated the city, engaging in combat, resulting in the deaths of 12 enemy combatants and the martyrdom of 2 of his own men. Zubair ibn al-Awam reached his designated destination, where he planted the banner of Al-Fath in the mosque and waited there for the arrival of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A tent was set up for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he offered prayers of gratitude to Allah for the victory. He didn't come in victorious and fighting and arrogantly. He came in with his head hanging down in submission to Allah. He did not come in boasting about it. If you can see, I've got this map for you. Abu Ubaidah is bringing his forces from this side. The Prophet enters from this side into Masjid al-Haram. Khalid bin Walid is coming from this side. Can you see Khalid bin Walid and entering from this side? This is where he is attacked from, basically. Qais bin Saad is coming in from this side. This is Masjid al-Haram, basically, and then Safa Marwa. And then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered the Kaaba, destroyed the idols inside the Kaaba, and while he was destroying the idols inside the Kaaba, he was reciting from the Quran and say, truth has come and falsehood has departed. Zahaqal batil. Indeed is falsehood by nature ever bound to depart. Anything that is wrong is always bound to depart. Amnesty for all. This is very important. Once he demolished all of the idols in the Kaaba and prayed, he called out to the Quraysh, "O you people of Quraysh, what do you think of the treatment that I am about to accord to you?" Remember, these were staunch enemies, right? They replied, "O noble brother and son of a noble brother, we expect nothing but goodness from you. Upon this he said, I speak to you in the same words as Yusuf spoke unto his brothers. He said, no reproach on you this day. Go your way, for you are freed ones. When did Yusuf say this? Remember, Yusuf's brothers, I don't know if you know this, so how are you supposed to remember? Well, I'll tell you. That Yusuf's brothers were the ones who threw Yusuf in a well, and they went to their father and lied that Yusuf has been consumed by or eaten up by a wolf. Yusuf was picked up by a minister from Egypt. Then he was made the adopted son of that minister. Then he was accused and he was sent to jail, and then he was brought out of jail, and then he was made the minister of finance. And then when his brothers finally did come to him, he recognized his brothers, and then that day he says that I'm not going to blame you for anything today. I'm not going to punish you. Muhammad showed great mercy to former enemies. He pardoned most of the Makkans, saying, go, for you all are free. This act reflects the hadith. The strong is not the one who overcomes the people by his strength, but the strong is the one who controls himself while in anger. Of course, the Prophet must have been angry when seeing Abu Sufyan. He must have been angry when seeing Hind. He must have been angry seeing all of the people who had tortured his companions, but he chose to forgive. Islam, thank you. So that was the conquest of Makkah, basically, in which this conquest will be remembered in history, that this is the conquest of a place in which the least bloodshed has taken place, and this you won't see it anywhere in history. So this is remembered as the conquest of history of Makkah, in which near to none, it was not a bloody conquest, in fact. Thank you.